Good afternoon. I don't know what's going on today. Usually this is pretty spontaneous. I work it out in my mind and I get a general idea of where I'm going. But this is take number 3. First time I've had multiple takes. I usually go with what I got. But today I stumbled because I was talking about, well, I'll get into it again. See if I do a better job. Okay. Uh, today's episode, today's teaching is about, today's sharing is about the tipping point. And I'm talking about the diametrically opposed events occurring simultaneously in the world today as I see them. Popularism, aka Trump, or Trumpism, based on catering to a specific audience that you recognize supports you, while ignoring everyone else, while decrying the free press because someone was bold enough to speak out against you or say something that you didn't like. This attack on the basic institutions of America that's ensured its democracy to date. And the other side is the innumerable, uncountable souls that are waking up, or that are in the process of waking up, who are beginning to remember what they had forgotten. And this indeed is the process of awakening, to remember what you've always known, to have an aha moment, followed quickly by, oh, I knew that. The tipping point means the fulcrum is balanced, and events could tilt the balance either way. Sometimes a singular event or a group of events, closely timed events, closely timed occurrences, apparently random events, could tip the scale to one way or another way. So this huge amount of people that are waking up, and don't take my word for it, look on the internet. Look at Quora. It's a forum I like to follow. More and more people are willing to share their experiences. More and more people are understanding that reaching one or two, even one or two people, can tip the scales, can tip the balance. And this is why, after many years of self-reflection and keeping my experience within myself, this is what this hope to reach even a few people and be helpful even in the most minuscule matters that would be a resounding success for me. And it's the intent of this effort that I've put into my sharings. The other side of the pendulum is regressive. Regressing into tribalism. because tribalism is fed through fears and negativity and reinforcing views, threats from other tribal groups. Tribalism is the most primitive human society. And it's a shame that we're at 2018 and we're seem to be regressing back to the most primitive social structure. Nothing seems sacred somehow. Anyone is deemed capable of leading us. Character, honesty just seems to matter so little. So I have been thinking a lot about monkeys. Monkey see, monkey do. Our DNA is only separated by less than 1% between us and the chimpanzees. Monkeys are our cousins. And you can see people who take this approach, monkey see, monkey do. He's doing it, I'll do it. And this is adding to the criticalness of the time we're currently in. I like a less harmless monkey see, monkey hear, monkey speak. The three monkeys, I love them. And they're good reference points for us. Because there's a lot of times that not speaking, not listening, not seeing, nonsense as we're experiencing currently. Giant step backwards. And the last use of monkeys for today's talk is about the 100th monkey, about a group of monkeys on a Japanese island. Allegedly 100. It's a nice round number. Who one elder started washing sweet potato, which was one of the staples of their diet, began washing it. And one after another, a monkey see, monkey do, another monkey would wash his sweet potato until it reached the 100th monkey, who swam to another island, or flew, or jumped, or rode a piece of driftwood. Somehow he got onto another isolated island where the monkeys didn't have this behavior. And shortly after he came, he spread this behavior. So it was intended to demonstrate a way that even mammals could change through innovation, through paying attention to trendsetters, to available to accept new ideas and new ways of thinking and doing. And of course, This is a nice story, but it's been debunked, that there was only 67 monkeys on the island, for one thing, and the behavior was not as uniform, not as many monkeys. Not every monkey was washing the sweet potato as we wanted to believe. And certainly there was no evidence that this new information, this new technique was transported to another island. But it serves the point that even if monkeys can learn new behaviors, if we put that adage to rest that you can't teach old dogs new tricks, if we put that to rest and see that as a whole, that we can change. Instead of tribalism, we embrace collectivism, bringing in elements from our tribal past beliefs, systems, and merging with other tribes into a collective who, if everyone's included in the collective, it eliminates a lot of conflict, doesn't it? It teaches people to be more accepting of the other. Whereas now we just see evidence that forces are exploiting this human condition of, number one, not wanting to change, number two, looking for simplicity in a complex world, looking to blame someone for conditions in your life that you don't like. Simplistic repetition. But it's interesting on the other side, simplicity. It's simple to begin the process of awakening. It's not complex. The goals can be easily shared. So, which is the tipping point? Which way will we tip? Will we continue the momentum of more and more people waking up? More and more people willing to share their process? More and more people who will offer words of guidance? Will we get more adepts, more masters, more gurus? Or will it be the everyman, the nobody, the one who's not pitching or selling or benefiting other than altruistically, benefiting in that the knowledge of that you're doing something constructive? The time for silence, for not sharing, might be past. And I'm urging everyone out there to open up, to share, to include, to participate in a collective. There's so much knowledge out there. I believe, that's a belief, and I know belief systems are questionable. But I'll say it again. I believe that there's more wisdom in the world, in the peoples of the world, than there is ignorance. Despite many instances that fly on in the face of such an assertion. Again, my inherent optimism, my active choice to be optimistic, my willing participation in the wave of optimism, which might fly in the face of the negativity, of the pessimism, of the throwing up the shoulders and the plea of helplessness. I can't do anything. It's beyond me. And I want to say that not only can you, but you should. Again, the grandiose idea that you can reach the multitudes. Maybe if you have such desire, look at that and question it. It's best to tone it down and look at touching one or two, boosting up one or two, providing hope, guidance, comfort, love, compassion to even a single soul is, I would argue, the most valuable contribution that any of us could make. Just imagine if each of us helped lift up, support, listen to one or two others. The tipping point would certainly go towards the spirituality, towards the oneness, towards unity, and the side of darkness, division, separation, ignorance would diminish, so that the opportunity to effect change in the human collective, in the support and building the foundations for this great collective where people no longer have artificial borders. Now this could be country borders, this could be religious borders, this could be fundamental belief systems. We need to bridge those. We need to reach out and connect people. Imagine the power of a collective focused on their journeys, not only their individual journeys, their spiritual exploration, but the journey of those around them. We need to say no to tribalism. We need to say no to hatred and lies, misinformation, misdirected sleight of hands, like a magician does. And this is our opportunity. This is what I'm addressing today, I'm doing my own small part in this process, this immense undertaking. And I'm confident that no matter the setbacks, if this trend of popularism, if this demagogues, if this grasping of power only increases, if the tipping point goes that way, our job becomes all the more important, because just as a teeter-totter can go either way, so too could this tipping point. So even though we went off the far end, it's not a hopeless situation. There's always, through our efforts, which by necessity, the criticalness of this time means that our efforts are of increasing import. So do something, or don't do anything, but be a good example. Be a shining light. I like candles, and I like the image of a candle. It is flickering in the darkness, and it attracts the moths, doesn't it? It attracts the termites when they're swarming, when they have their wings in part of their life cycle. So be this candle, even if you find yourself in darkness. Each candle accumulates the power of a candle. 2 candles is so much brighter than one. And just keep going with this. Be a candle. Learn to love without searching or expecting return. Learn the universal love, which is closer to compassion, acceptance, and understanding. Tipping this balance, if it does swing this other way, if it does this other way, it will not be helpful to point your finger and say, you guys caused this, it's your fault. No, reach down, give them a hand, allow them the opportunity to be curious. I believe that this is what Jesus, then talking belief again. In my experience, knowing Jesus turn the other cheek is not pacifism. Boy, that tongue is... It's recognition that people can be misdirected, misinformed, misintended, mistaken, but the real hope, the real work, the real light is the opportunity to effect change. Only through embracing, only through wholeness can you begin to heal the ravages of separation, division, tribalism. Keep your eye on the prize. The prize is a collective of like-minded souls dedicated to remembering, listening to the echoes, listening to the sounds, listening to the guidance, listening to the words, listening to the deeds of those who care enough to make the effort towards tipping the pendulum the other way. Now, one of the bases of my optimism is knowing that this condition where we're tipping towards the tribalism, towards the separation, towards the xenophobia, towards the elitism, towards the classism, that eventually it will tip the other way, and we will be that whole community, that whole collective that recognizes the universality, the unity, the love and the light and the peace of living the truth, being the truth. So it's a critical time, but I can smile, resting assured that no matter which way the pendulum goes, how low the pendulum, I think it's more of a question of how low it will tilt towards this snowballing, apparent snowballing, regression, this mass hysteria embraced by more and more people. It's about surrendering your responsibility. And all too many people are willing to surrender their responsibility. And I understand that because there's ultimately only one responsibility. We're responsible to each ourselves to begin this journey to within, which will lead us to without. I know that it's always darkest before the dawn, and the dawn will come. With or without our effort, somehow. And that's not to negate our possible personal influence. But this responsibility that we have to ourselves, this responsibility for our own journey, we can help by sharing our experiences. Those of us that had more experience than others can point. Just as my teacher took me to the precipice and simply said, jump. Now I know previous to saying this, he had at least enough confidence in me that I was ready to jump, that I had understood the hollowness of fear. Once you experience that you're part of everything and everyone that stretches, that envelops, that's infinite. Fear dissipates, disappears. It's in this fearless state that you meet, that you do battle, just as Arjuna did in the Bhagavad Gita. You do battle for yourself. You surrender to what's greater than you, what's bigger than you. You embrace your process. You learn to relax. You learn to be giving. You see that there's nothing to be done. It's already done, complete. What you have to do is surrender. You have to give up everything that you thought you were. You have to give it up. That's what surrender truly means. You have to surrender to the process that is basically unknowable. But unknowable does not mean undoable. It's there. It's the fabric. It's completion. And all we have to do, and I laugh here because this is all we have to do is trust. Take that jump off the cliff, and then be willing to share with those that want to listen to you. Share what you've known and seen. Share the truth, because the result of this is beyond our wildest dreams.